doing this purple plant today. It's got a lot of like kind of weird little details in it, so just gonna basically go up and down this core with this darker color. This is Dioxazine Purple. It's one of my favorite colors, just because it gives such a really great tonal range. Yeah, hello everyone. Yeah, Dioxazine Purple is really good. It comes out of the tube almost black. Like this is very close, but when you mix it with white, which is called tinting, you can get just a really amazing range of all tones. And in fact, my profile picture is done in this color, Dioxazine Purple. Here, let me just show you what it looks like. Quality paint, but it's quite inexpensive for oil paint. So this is one of my major recommendations, Gamblin paint. Yeah, Dioxazine Purple. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, so this flower, I keep forgetting the name of it. I'm gonna have to look it up again. This is a native flower of Australia. So we all of the flowers and birds and everything are from Australia. This it's really good. Do you sell this? Yeah, I do. This particular painting will be going to Australia. I have a couple of, I have 3 galleries that represent my oil paintings, and then there's another gallery that I show my photography with. So the 3 galleries that I sell my oil paintings through are Gallery Yoon in Montreal, and 19 Karen Gallery in the Gold Coast of Australia. The first one, Gallery Yoon in Montreal, that's in Canada. And then I also sell in out west at Rouge Gallery in Canada. And then I sell my photography through a gallery called Treat Gallery, and that's in New York. So yeah, I sell those. That's all original. And then I sell prints online, like through my shop, of all those paintings. So if you're interested in my oil paintings, but they're outside of your price point, yeah, you could check out the prints if you like. The prints are $25 and up. But yeah, you're certainly welcome to check those out. I have I think over 40 different prints now in my shop, so if you're interested. But this particular one is going to Australia. So I'm doing this kind of darker core, and then I'll be adding the other colors in a few moments. Do I do all different kinds of paintings? Yeah, I mean, historically I have done a lot of different kinds of paintings. I've pretty much been doing Flemish style, like painting in the style of the 17th century and I guess early to mid 17th century and late 16th. Oh, sorry, I'm getting that wrong. Mid 16th century, mid 18th century. Sorry about that. Mid 18th century, up until the late 17th century. That's Flemish, so Dutch and Flemish painting. That's mostly the style, and there's a lot of birds, a lot of still life in that style. But historically, I've done. When I first started showing in galleries, I sold. I did portraiture. Do I sell across the world? Yeah. I do. So I'm represented by galleries in Canada and Australia, and then New York for my photography. But I have had shows in London, England, and Miami, and Los Angeles, and Seattle, I've had shows in a lot of different places. But I certainly have collectors from all over. Yeah. Are they on my TikTok? Yeah, so go to the link in my TikTok, and there's a link tree there, and then you can look at all of the prints if you're interested. Do I have a school? No, just my YouTube channel and TikTok. TikTok obviously for shorter stuff, and then YouTube for longer form lessons. But no, not yet. I might try to get something going online, maybe. There are a number of different platforms I know that offer services like that, so I don't know. YouTube, my YouTube link, everything is my username, so it's Mark Liam Smith for everything: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everything. Mark Liam Smith. And if you don't want to type, then just go to my TikTok bio, and there's a link tree. So just click the link tree, and then you can just click to any of the links of my socials. Yeah, when did I first start painting? I didn't start painting till university. I took a first year painting course in university. But like, I obviously that's outside of, painting in elementary school and art class in elementary school and stuff like that. But yeah, I've did a lot of drawing though growing up. I was really into comics, and so I would draw comics a lot. Hey, Ontario, I'm in Ontario too. I'm in the part of Ontario with no snow right now. So considering myself lucky for the moment. Oh, thanks so much. Maybe a little lighter, that one. Hey, thanks for the share. And thank you for the likes, those of you who are tapping the screen. Really appreciate that. Ever considered portraits? Yeah, I've done a lot of portraits. Right out of art school, I moved to Paris for 6 months, and I drew portraits on the streets for tourists. And I've exhibited my portraiture in. Well, when I first started showing in galleries, I was only painting portraits. I did a series called The 48 Legends of Art. And I showed that series in Australia. I showed it in a gallery in Mayfair in London called Decontemporary. Yeah, I've done. Portraits aren't super enjoyable for me because I'm colorblind. So it's a real struggle trying to get colors right. I have to use the color picker tool in Photoshop, and there's a whole bunch of tricks that I kind of developed to work around my color blindness, because my color blindness is really quite affected by subtle colors. and skin tones, no matter what complexion you have, skin tones are basically very subtle orange, so they're quite difficult. Yeah, I see all the colors. I just don't do well when the colors are desaturated. So, like, if you can see 50 greens, I can see 12, kind of thing. And the brighter they are, not brighter, but like the higher the chroma is, or the saturation level, the higher that is, the easier it is for me to see. So, but yeah, I can see the full spectrum. I'm red-green colorblind, so I have deficiencies in reds and greens. Yeah, I have a number of TikToks about how I see, kind of what colors I see and things like that. That's, oh yeah, it's definitely late in the UK. Thanks for dropping by. See you in the next one. Oh, hello Jamaica, how you doing? I was very fortunate to visit your country about 10 years ago, I guess. It was beautiful music and food and the people, beaches, everything was incredible. Just adding these kind of dots everywhere. No snow there. I can't say the same for Canada, although we're doing pretty well for January, at least in the part of Canada that I'm in. It's a strange one weather-wise in Canada this year. Oh, I'd love to visit Guyana. The northern coast of South America. The closest I've ever traveled to your country is Colombia. I went to Colombia. Oh, thanks so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm not sure how those invites work, how the algorithm chooses who to send it to. Maybe it's based on commenters or something. I'm not sure. But thanks for joining. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So I'm just going to paint the basic details on this flower first, and then I'm going to glaze afterwards to give it more of a rounded shape. These kinds of subjects are a wonderful opportunity to practice patience. Why am I not Bob Ross? A number of reasons, I guess. He was quite a talented educator. You don't like blocking when painting? Like blocking in colors? Yeah, I hear you. I just I guess I do one pass of detail, and then the next one will be, or one pass general, and the next one's detail. That's kind of how I go about it. So this is just Dioxazine Purple, this color, and Titanium White. This is an oil painting. And this particular painting is destined to go to Australia. It's going to be exhibited at 19 Karen in Mermaid Beach before hopefully finding its forever home. I'm just making these little circles or indications here. I'll be able to fix all of the details later. That's the plan. What kind of colorblind are you? I'm deuteranope. So that's red-green deficiency. There's happy to announce that BuzzFeed is going to be coming out with an article about me and my color blindness very soon. So I have no idea what the article is about. They just sent me a notification asking if it was okay. So yeah, that'll be cool. I don't know what they're going to say, but watching this is better than smoking. Thank you. Appreciate that. Can't wait for your candle. I don't know what that means. The parts we did on Friday are dry now. Well, for the most part. A little bit tacky still. So I'm just going to keep filling in these areas, these little circles. Oh, thanks so much. Oh, you have mono. Is it the red or the green? I guess it could be the blue as well, but that's pretty rare. It's just titanium white. I'm putting the white down, and then I'll paint some of the darker spots between. And then I'll go back and put some more white on, and then I'll glaze over the whole thing. That's the plan. This is a finch, by the way. And these little fruit down here are native to Australia. They're called quandong. And they kind of look like a lychee with that large seed. But I've never tried one. Oh, thanks so much. Appreciate the compliment, DXK. Much appreciated. How am I able to determine the colors? Well, I opened the tubes and they're all labeled. And I have studied color theory a lot, so I know what I'm supposed to get when I mix colors, two different colors together. And I know all of the qualities of the colors, like their opacity and their temperature and so on. I know all of the colors' complements and split complements. I know I have studied the additive color wheel, the subtractive color wheel. I have my own color wheel that I also have developed with 12 different colors in it. Yeah, I've just, basically the short answer is I've studied. Rate my username, that's funny. So typically when I see a name with two numbers that are between 50 and 90 or 99, typically the two numbers are that person's birth year. So if I were to guess, then yeah, I would say that the same is true in that case. You're probably 58 years old. And so that's what I have about that to say about that. Yeah. And you're probably 53, Amelia. It's kind of one of those things when you're trying to guess somebody's password. Not that you should ever do that, but people tend to pick things that are easier for them to remember. So they do things like that. Didn't want to be too tempting. That's funny. Oh, thanks so much for saying you love the tutorials. Yeah, thanks, Sander. I get it. I get the comparison. But Bob Ross was a teacher, and I'm not a teacher. I'm just making the art that I make. I'm not. It's kind of a demonstration, like you guys are here and watching, sort of along for the ride, fly on the wall approach sort of thing. But at the end of the day, this painting is being made for a reason, and that's that it's going to go into a gallery. So, whereas Bob Ross didn't paint to put his paintings in galleries, he painted to be able to create something on live television, or maybe not live, but he was on PBS, wasn't he? That's why all of his paintings are 20 minutes. Oh, thanks so much. Aspartate glutamate. That's a funny name. Is aspartate a derivative of aspartame, or is it the other way around? Second question, do you like Diet Coke? How long have I been doing art? Oh, thanks so much. I have been doing art professionally for 6 years, but I've been making art for a long time, since I was a kid. I started drawing at a very young age, and I didn't start painting till I was in university. Oh, thank you. And this one's taking a bit of a while to get through, but I think after I paint these white spots, and then I'm going to paint the dark areas, and then on top of that I'll paint more light areas, then it'll start to look like something. Right now it's just a bunch of colors. Complementary contrast. Oh, thanks. Yeah, that there's the actual colors of that finch with the red and the green. It's crazy. It's a beautiful bird. That finch is that particular finch is native to Australia, as are all of the plants in this painting. It was important for me to make sure all of the flora and fauna were from Australia, since the painting itself was going to be exhibited there. I wanted to give it a little bit of an Australian feel. Not that you need to know everything's from Australia, but it's okay. Yellow and purple, yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is slightly more blue in real life. I added a little bit of purple. It's actually this color here. It's a really amazing color. It's called Old Holland Blue Violet, so you can only get it from Old Holland. And you can see that it is a combination of Dioxazine Special, which is this one. This is Dioxazine Purple. So when you take a look at the universal color code, PV23, that's Pigment Violet 23. And here, so you can see PV23. So Dioxazine Special, and then that it's kind of rubbed out, but it's Phthalocyanine Blue. PB is Pigment Blue 13. So Phthalo Blue and Dioxazine Purple, both beautiful colors in their own right. You mix them together, it's really incredible. Anyway, there's that there. Okay. Almost through this part. And then I'm going to put some dark areas in between after this. So I'm going to be posting a TikTok tomorrow, another how to draw. So I have, hopefully you like it. I've already finished it. I'm just going to wait till tomorrow to post it though. It's how to draw a hand. And I took a different kind of approach to it, so I hope you like it. I basically just drew a bunch of circles and then kind of linked them together in a interesting way. So, I mean, obviously there are a whole bunch of different kinds of ways to draw. So, yeah, let me know what you think about it when you see it tomorrow. Oh, thanks for joining, John. Good to see you. Happy New Year to you too, Adam. Do I ever paint people? Not anymore, no. I exclusively painted people when I first started exhibiting, but now my practice is almost entirely still life. So fruit and birds and pots and ceramics and things like that. I do the occasional memento mori, so those are skulls among other things, which I guess are technically people, but I think that probably goes against the spirit of the question. So once I finish putting in these little bulbs, these little indications here, I'm going to go through the whole plant again with some darker areas. And then once that dries, I'm going to go through the whole thing again with the light air, another layer of highlights. So the whole thing will eventually, right now it's just completely flat, just sort of like this, but eventually it's going to come around like that because I'm going to glaze with various levels. The outsides will receive very thin glaze, and then it'll be sort of it'll be lighter here, so darker here and here. But that's one of these kind of slow to build things. This particular oil painting is reintroducing me to the concept of patience. how long have I been an artist? So the question, how long have you been an artist, and how long have you made art, are there different answers there. So, you know, in one way to answer it is I've been an artist my whole life. Everyone's an artist kind of idea. If you're asking how long I've been a professional artist, like how long have I been selling my work in galleries and so on, 6 years. 6 years is the answer. I've been represented by galleries on and off. Well, always at least one gallery, but different galleries for 6 years. And I guess I had my very first group show in 2015. But I got my first represented gallery in 2016. Yeah. I started painting in university, but I started drawing when I was a kid. So I've kind of always done art. I just haven't always tried to sell it. If you are interested in picking up one of my prints, I have a number of prints. There's a link in my bio. Go to my online store. And I have over 40 of my paintings there in print form. If you're interested in picking up an original painting, obviously that would be amazing too. So those I only sell original paintings through my galleries. I don't sell them through my studio. But you're welcome to check them all out on my website, markliamsmith.com. It's the same as my username. If you are interested. It's not corn, but it looks like corn. It's so kind of a weird purple plant. Yeah, it looks like corn. Okay, now I'm going to start painting some of the darker areas between. Yeah, Happy New Year to everyone. This is only my second, maybe third time back since the holiday break. It's nice to be back painting live for you guys again. And I took quite a while off, and went to the west of Canada to visit some family. So it's nice to be able to see people again, see my family again. But I am back now. I'm going to be going live with some regularity, so please do consider tuning in about this time. Wish you could see the whole thing. It's pretty small. It's well, not super small. It's like this. So this is 12 inches across. That's 30 centimeters, and up and down is 16 inches or 41 centimeters. Yeah. So these are a kind of a fruit called a quandong, native to Australia. Well, everything's native to Australia here. This is a rainbow finch. And these little yellow ones, I haven't finished them yet. But yeah, I'm going to be doing those after. Once I put the shadows from all of these green leaves on the yellow balls, it'll really start to become three-dimensional. But I'm working on this flower here next, or now, because I have to do, now that I have the white down, I'm going to go again over the whole thing with dark in between the little white areas. And then after that, I'm going to start glazing, but yeah, it has to dry first is the problem. So we'll see. And just adding a little bit of dark paint. This Dioxazine Purple that I'm adding here is a product of a paint company in Portland, Oregon called Gamblin. They do a really good, inexpensive, professional grade paint. And Dioxazine Purple is in the Universal Color Index. PV23 is a transparent paint. So it's really good for glazing. Not so good for alla prima, which is what I'm doing right now. But since I'm mixing it with titanium white, which is extremely opaque, I'm kind of getting away with it. Opaque paints are much better for alla prima painting, like wet into wet painting. And transparent paints are much better for glazing. And opaque, you can't glaze with opaque paints. It's impossible. You're just going to cover up your previous work. So if you are interested in painting and learning how to paint, studying different painting techniques, I do have a number of videos on my YouTube channel that you could check out. They're obviously all free. It's YouTube. So you can get a painting education right on the internet for free. So I go through, I assume you know nothing, and I talk about brush kinds and shapes and types and what they're good for. I talk about panel versus canvas versus paper. And yeah, I just talk about all kinds of things. So you can check that out if you like. Adam's asking what makes for transparent paint, the amount of oil or the nature of pigment. Yeah, I don't know the answer, but I can hazard a guess. So it's likely to do with an innate property of the pigment itself, and not simply the amount of oil. And the reason I say that is that obviously I can take an opaque paint and I can add just oil to it. Oil is the filler. I can add just oil to it and I will make it more transparent. Yes, that's true. But if I take a look at less expensive brands, that have a lot of oil in them, like say Winton or any student grade brand, you can still have opaque paint, and those paints are opaque, even though there's much more oil in those than there are in let's say a Michael Harding or an Old Holland, a very high quality professional paint that has as little oil as possible, just a really, really high pigment load, and yet they're still transparent. So it must be something to do with, it's probably a combination really, because you can always dilute your paint by adding more oil, but even cheap oil, you can get opaque. That's, if I were teaching a class, I'd say that's a great question. I'll give you an answer tomorrow. But I'm not teaching, so I get to guess. I know that cadmiums are all opaque. You can't get a transparent cadmium. And cobalt are transparent, so might be something there. Something about the pigments. What's the best brush for details? Thanks for the question on being on this app. Being on this app, I don't know. I don't use good brushes. These brushes are by Meeden, and this is a 000. But these brushes are kind of, 15 brushes for 20 bucks on Amazon kind of a thing. So yeah, I mean, they work fine for my purposes. I just painted a whole solo show with inexpensive brushes. So if you're a watercolorist, you're going to need to really invest good money in brushes. But if you're an oil painter, I would probably recommend, if you have to cut, if you have to decrease the quality of either your brushes or your paint, decrease the quality of your brushes, because you can kind of cheat. You can get away with doing oil paintings with quite inexpensive brushes. Just as long as they don't shed. Because if they shed, that gets a bit annoying. You're trying to pick hairs out of your artwork. Or worse yet, if you don't see the hair come out of the brush and you leave it in and then it dries in there. And that's happened to me a lot in the past. So I guess it still happens from time to time. In 500 years, somebody's going to sample the DNA of one of those hairs in one of those paintings and conclude that a sentient red sable painted that painting. That's just a little brush humor for you, delivered very in a classic way. Some brushes are made from red sable hair. That was the joke. I have a soothing voice. Oh, thank you. What's the favorite painting you've created? It's tough. I have two paintings that I've painted, that I've exhibited, that I've painted, that are probably both up there. I might just say the last one. So for my solo show in 2019, and then for my solo show that's on right now, actually it just got extended. It opened on December 5th, and it just got extended till February 19th at Gallery Une in Montreal. The largest painting in that solo show, it's called A Song of Sixpence, and it's just full of symbolism and narrative. I painted it live on TikTok over something like 60 or 70 hours. That's probably my favorite painting that I've ever exhibited. My favorite painting that I've ever made is probably a personal painting of my wife when she was pregnant with my son, and I had her standing in front of a Klimt painting at the National Gallery of Canada called Hope 2, and in the Klimt painting in Hope 2, there's a lady standing in profile, and she's quite pregnant, and behind her is all of these kind of nefarious entities like pestilence and madness, old age, and things like that. And so in the painting, that's Klimt's painting, and then I had my wife pose in the same pose as the lady in the Klimt painting, and then I painted her and the painting together. So that's probably I haven't exhibited it though. Here, actually, I think I can show you, because I have it in my studio. I'm just gonna back up a bit. Let me just. Here, I have to use these pieces of paper with tape. These are vanity sensor strips, because the Klimt painting has a couple of areas of nudity. It's wrapped up, but it'll be enough. You can get an indication of the size and so on. So this my wife when she was pregnant, and then the Klimt painting reproduced. So you can see, and it's like madness and death and old age and disease. So the original is in the National Gallery of Canada. Anyway, it's pretty big. Yeah. So that might be my favorite one. Oh, thanks so much, Art for Life. It's very nice to say. I hope you like my tutorial tomorrow. It's another hand pose. Rogue hair. Yeah, I can't really do anything with this, it's just too wet. I'm just gonna have to leave that area. Okay. Tutorials are so helpful. Oh, thanks so much. Very nice. I'm gonna switch now. And I'm gonna carry on maybe down here. And work on these leaves here a little bit. It was just Friday the last time I was working on these leaves, so the paint on my palette will still be quite workable. And make sure my brush is clean enough, because I just had some purple on there. Purple and green are not friends. Okay, so let's get to this. I'm going to go with this one first and try to pick up some of the same colors here. We have chromium oxide green and some cobalt teal, of course titanium white, and then maybe some bright green lake is that more yellowy green. So let me just show you what I'm working with here for those of you who do want to paint along. I always recommend Michael Harding. They have the highest pigment load and they have no fillers whatsoever, just the pigment and the binder. So we have cobalt teal, which is not a green technically, it's a cyan family. Bright green lake, and then chromium oxide green. By the way, I just said cyan family there, and I was reminded My next YouTube video I'm coming out with, I'm going to start talking, it's going to be a 3-part series. I'm going to talk about the 3 dimensions of color: hue, value, and chroma. So I'm going to start with hue, it's the easiest to understand. But in that video, I get into this color wheel here. That is the color wheel that I use. It's not the regular color wheel that you see with either the additive color wheel, yellow, purple, orange, red, blue, green. It's not that one, and it's not the subtractive color wheel that they use in printing with cyan, magenta, and yellow, but rather it's a 12-point color wheel. And you see in this color wheel that green has its own family here, but cyan has it's a separate color in my system of how I understand color. Being a colorblind person, I had to really get into color theory. So these are, I don't use the 3 primaries and 3 secondaries. I don't use that system at all. I use a system that has 12 primaries. And everyone's equally as important, almost like keys on the piano. You can, every key is equal, and you can play chords by playing certain combinations of keys, etc. Just it's the same thing with color wheels. Every color is equal, and then you can play by chords, color chords, I guess, by combining certain colors together. So here's my color wheel, and I'll get into this in my YouTube video, but basically yellow, orange, red, rose, cyan, violet, indigo, blue, aqua, cyan, green, and lime. I think I may have misspoke. If I said cyan twice there. Let me just say them again. Yellow, orange, red, magenta, rose, magenta, violet, indigo, blue, aqua, cyan, green, lime. And I'm going to get into that more later, but yeah, that's how I understand color. Okay, so let's go with this one here. And I think sort of if it kind of dips that way and then comes back up. So it'll go down, that'll be darker there, and then up will be lighter. So this is gonna be the lightest part here, just like this one. So I'll put those lighter areas in first, just so that I have a kind of benchmark. I know not to go lighter. And I won't worry about details at this point too. Okay, so with that down, now I can get into maybe this teal. It's not enough. This chromium oxide green is one of the few opaque greens out there. Most of the greens are transparent, so it comes in really handy. I'm adding some titanium white. This painting style, where I do a lot of my blending right here on the canvas, is called alla prima. And that's the wet into wet technique. You can use it for either oil paint or acrylic, but it's much better as used in oil paint because the paint doesn't dry as quickly. When you try to do wet into wet with acrylic, you really do have to hurry. Otherwise, you paint on top of dry paint, and that's not wet into wet. Oh, you tried acrylics, Adam? Yeah, they do. They do dry quickly. You can do something about that. It's not a lot, but you can add a slow drying agent. You could try that, but the slow drying agents do tend to dilute your pigment. So you're gonna do a little bit of a sacrifice there in order to increase your drying time. But after you do that, if it's still workable and if your pigment is still vibrant enough for your liking, then yeah, you should be okay. If it's not okay, then you'll probably have to move into oils, because you're extending your drying time from with acrylics. The best you can hope for, even with slow drying medium, would be say 4 or 5 hours on your palette. Certainly, if you went to bed and woke up the next day, your palette would be dry, unless you used very, very thick paint and then you just have a big acrylic skin over the blob of paint, and that's not fun to try to figure out. But with oil paint, yeah, you can. These greens, I laid them on, what was it, Friday? Yeah, Friday, and they're still very workable, just like I just pulled them out of the tube now. Ralph Teo 2. Consider yourself shouted out. Excuse me. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back to these live TikTok painting sessions. And I'm going to be producing a number of paintings over the next, say, month or two. I have 2 paintings to make for Australia, this one and another one that I've started with a parrot. And then I have a painting that I'll be donating to a children's auction. It's the Bank of Montreal Kids Help Phone. I have that painting to make. I haven't started that one yet. And then, excuse me, something in my throat. And then I have another group show. My next group show is in May, but I have a photography show in March in New York. So something's on the horizon. I'll see how everything goes. But I will try to do as much of it as I can on live. Do I put drying mediums in my oil paint? No, I don't. I don't put anything in my paint. I don't even use turpentine or odorless mineral spirits. I just use the paint, and I'll add linseed oil if I need to change the consistency. It's really cool watching. Happy New Year. Yeah, Happy New Year to you too. Thanks for joining. This is just a darker green. It's that chromium oxide green, but I've put a little bit of black in there too. You know, there's mixed opinion whether you can add black to paint. Generally speaking, you can add black to cool colors, like greens and blues, but don't add black to warmer colors, like oranges or reds. The reason is that black itself is a cool color, and if you add cool and warm together, you decrease the saturation. You know, and sometimes you want to do that, and sometimes you don't want to do that, but you at least need to know what you're doing. Oh, thanks so much, Nessa. So this is just alla prima painting, or wet into wet. And so this is just, I'm mixing black and cyan right now. It's going to create a fairly desaturated color. And the fact that it's darker and desaturated is going to push it behind this leaf. This one's going to go behind that. Those are two different rules you can use to push an object behind another object. Darker objects recede and desaturated colors recede. So when you have two objects competing in the same space and you want one to go behind, just make it darker. See? And then the opposite obviously is true. If you want an object to come forward, you make it lighter. And you could also make it more vibrant. You don't have to make it lighter. Just two different ways to do it. You can play around with that. Just make this a little bit darker. Push it in this area here, make it a little bit darker. Push it back even more. This leaf here will have a shadow on this leaf. So I'm going to put that in. Okay. It's going to go a little bit. Yeah, hello. Can you see the green on the palette? Yeah, for sure. So here's that Dioxazine Purple and the titanium white that I was using for the flower. These are the greens I'm using, and they're just the three greens here. We have at the bottom, this is cobalt teal. This one. This one is chromium oxide. And then the one on top that I haven't really used much of is bright green lake. And then this is just black, and that's white. titanium white. The black I'm using there is Mars black. It doesn't really matter too much, but yeah, there you go. Do I add black to your whites to stop yellowing? No, I don't. I don't worry about that. When it comes to yellowing, that's less a problem with the white, and it's more a problem with the quality of the linseed oil. And if you use more professional quality paint, like Michael Harding, they'll use refined and cold pressed linseed oil. And all linseed oil will yellow over time, but when you use really good linseed oil, you're talking about 200 years or something like that. So, I kind of figure that if any of my paintings are still around 200 years from now, then there'll be some pretty good technology at that point to some conservator in the year 2222 that'll be that person's problem. But it's highly unlikely that any of my work will be around that long. You think about how many paintings have survived. I mean, it might, who knows? Be lost in some attic somewhere, who knows? Winsor Newton? Yeah, Winsor Newton is when you say Winsor Newton, you mean Winsor Newton professional grade, right? Not Winton, which is a Winsor Newton brand. That's their student grade brand. The Winsor Newton professional grade is it's fine. It's not the best, but it's far from the worst as well. Certainly. It's a good paint. Winsor Newton, not Winton. Winton student brand is. It's a decent student brand, put it that way. But it has a lot of filler in it. So I always prefer buying the paint that doesn't have any filler in it, and then I can just add my own oil if I want to. If I want to dilute it, I can. It's just the whole forced dilution from the factory that I don't care for, because then you can always dilute your paint more, but you can never get it back to that original quality. So that's why I prefer. Yeah, I don't have much Winsor Newton paint. I used to. Yeah, I can say hi, Tess. How you doing? So this flower here, that's the shadow from that. That's a cast shadow. It's not flower from this leaf. That's the cast shadow. And then there's another one's going to be here. This one's a little bit further away, so it's going to go down like this. Make it a little bit lighter there so the shadow stands out. Go for a line all the way across here. Get some highlights on this one. It's just titanium white. Make it stand out a little bit more. Yeah, so if you like any of my art, please do check out my store, online store. I have a bunch of prints on there. I think over 40 at this point. And they start at 25 bucks. And so if you'd like to support me, please do check that out. There's a link in my bio. There's a link tree. Okay. I think that's going to be it for this evening. Let's just pull back. I can't do anything else up there yet. That just has to dry. But yeah, coming along. Gonna get a couple more of these three-dimensional leaves over here, and then it's really gonna start popping. And once I put the shadows on the yellow balls, it should be not too long from now, maybe by the middle of the week. We'll be getting into that. Of course, I have to put the background in, but that's gonna happen soon. Yeah, this is oil painting for sure. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. If you are a painter and you're new to painting, please check out my YouTube channel. I have all kinds of tips and tricks, more long form stuff on there. How to pick brushes, canvases, paints for all different price points, how to pick paints, synthetic versus natural, different recommendations. Same thing with brush shapes, like how to tell when do you use a fan brush, an angle brush, a filbert brush, and so on, a round brush, so many different kinds of brushes and applications. Check out the YouTube channel. If you're not into making art, but you're into appreciating art, please check out my online store. And other than that, thank you all so much for joining. It really does, it really is appreciated that some of the same names just keep showing up. I value your support. And thank you to everyone who has tapped the screen, hit that like button over and over again. We ended up this podcast or this live stream with 11.6 thousand likes. So thank you very much. I will see you not tomorrow, because tomorrow's my birthday, and we're going to be doing a little birthday celebration. So we'll pick up with the live streaming on Wednesday. Thank you all. See you next time. Thanks, Infinite Pile. Oh, thank you very much for the birthday wishes. Bye-bye, everyone.